watch Animal Show, brought to you by the Pure Stupidity Squad, the Beast Warriors, and BCW.
What is up, Beast Warriors? Good morning. Today, I will be going on the Ghost Tour again for the second time with my cousin Adam. I'm about to go shower soon. I'll be going to his place in a couple hours, basically. So, yeah. So, basically, while I was watching Mad TV yesterday, I made some popcorn in the popcorn machine. Haven't used this thing in nearly 3 years, actually. And it's actually a pretty good quality popcorn machine, basically. On this big screen TV right here, baby. Now, when I did the Ghost Tour last time, I didn't have the proper video recording quality back then. But this time, at this Ghost Tour, I will have the better video quality, basically. So, yeah, you're going to get a great vlog of this Ghost Tour for the Beast Animals YouTube channel. Because you know for a fact this is the Beast Animal Show. And we're going to make this channel grow and grow every goddamn day. Oh, it's true. It's damn true. So usually when I record my vlogs, I do it through my iPhone, but once this computer gets rebooted and fixed right here, I'll be recording my vlogs with my Canon camera. Kind of the same camera, similar to what Lance 210 uses and all that shit. So yeah, I'm going to do that, and then the videos will be inserted into this computer, and they'll be edited through a software, and it'll be posted on YouTube, so the vlogs will be similar to what Lance 210 does. Similar to Roman Outwood and a bunch of other people on YouTube that vlog and all that shit, you know. But anyways, guys, I'll be back to continue this vlog when I'm about to leave to go to my cousin Adam's place, which is known as his dacha. We call it his dacha. That's what we call his place. So yeah. All right, guys. So right now I'm about to leave to go to my cousin Adam's dacha right now. So yeah. Alright guys, right now I'm walking down to my cousin Adam's house, and it's very windy outside, and trying to shield the wind while I'm walking down there. The wind was pretty bad yesterday too. We were under tornado warning. I don't know if we're under it right now, but it's pretty windy outside. So this is the wind right now. Clouds look pretty bad right now. Me and my cousin, we just got out of the gym, and tonight we're going on a ghost tour, which you'll see in this vlog today.
Or probably tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably tomorrow. So,
yeah.
Be on your toes, and oh yeah, this is Adam Grapper, AG53 here. Like I said back in the podcast, I might be starting to walk away from YouTube in the beginning of, like around mid-2019 to like 2020 the latest. So, if you don't see my videos being uploaded, you know, just always go back to the old ones, especially the ones I first started with. And pretty much it. I had that YouTube channel for almost 5 years and treated me very good.
Don't worry, guys.
I thank every 124 of my subscribers, no matter where the hell they're from. I don't care. I thank you guys every day. Be grateful that you have me as a YouTuber that you like so much.
But don't worry, guys.
Like me or hate me, I don't give a shit your results.
But don't worry, guys. You'll still see him in my videos.
Yep.
And we're just walking back to his dacha right now after the gym. You got a full moon right there. After a long ass day today, we finally got a freaking nap finally.
About damn time. And I'm starting to feel sore. And at least I got rid of most of my soreness from the hell of that workout that I did twice today.
Oh yeah.
Right, if you guys didn't know, earlier before he showed up at my dacha, I went out for a morning workout, and then like 4 hours later I went back to the gym with that guy. I'm referring to you, so happy holidays, schmucks.
Yeah, happy holidays, filthy animals. Tomorrow we got the ghost tour, so it's gonna be a good thing, basically.
Yep.
So hope you guys are enjoying this.
Almost a day from now.
Yeah.
Almost a day from now, we will be in Fort Lauderdale.
Yep. So anyways, guys, hope you're all having a great night, and I'll see you guys in the morning.
The next day.
Good morning, everybody. We had a crazy morning.
Let's just say
tell
that
them what's going on.
well, basically there was organic milk that was expired, and it was crazy. I almost got poisoned. But I feel a little lightheaded, and I feel a little bit of tiny stomach cramps, but overall I am feeling fantastic.
I tried it first, and I was gonna like chug it because usually I chug milk, and then I was like, "What the heck is this?"
Yeah, and I was like, "You were right. It is poison." I took a little bit of it. I was like, "Holy crap, it's terrible." And I was like, "Oh, geez, thanks for almost poisoning us." Organic milk, you disappoint me now. I'm never having milk ever again.
Today's the ghost tour.
Yep, and a little later on in the evening.
Yeah. All right, so right now I'm leaving around 3 o'clock to go to the ghost tour with my cousin Adam. Right now he's currently in the shower right now, but we will be going to a restaurant, and then after that we'll be doing the ghost tour. So today is going to be a really great hell of a day today, and I hope you guys enjoy it. And follow me on Instagram at @thebeastanimal_. Keep up with that. You could add me on Snapchat, MLB0919. You can also add me on Facebook if you want. Basically, also on Twitter, follow me at @thebeastanimal_. Same username as my Instagram. I'll have all those in the description. Basically, also I want to give a shout out to my cousin Adam. If you guys want to go check out his channel, go ahead and do so. He does some videos here and there, but you'll mostly see him a lot in my vlogs on YouTube, mostly. So hope you guys are enjoying your day today so far. You know, it's gonna be a good day. Ghost hunting, favorite thing to do. But speaking of that, I'm actually getting a spirit box. So once I get that, I'll be using that. And in Leesburg, there's this abandoned high school. Shout out to my best friend, Kat. She has been in that abandoned high school before. She looked inside it before. With my spirit box, I'm hoping I can find a way to get inside there. So I'm going to ask her that if we can go inside there with my spirit box. I'm going to ask her that when I get back to college, because that's something I'm planning on doing, basically. So yeah. All right, me and my cousin right now, we're in the city right now of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We're walking somewhere downtown, and we don't know where we're walking. Is that right?
Pretty much.
Pretty much. Pretty damn much. Coming soon. That's the type of cruise I would freaking go on. Look at that shit. Look at that fucking shit.
Oh, wow.
This looks nice.
Oh, this looks like a nice restaurant.
Holy crap.
Water. Look at that.
Look at that sushi fish right there. That sushi fish. This holiday season, I've been drunk and high.
To do something stupid.
I'm thinking about saying that. Thank you. Those people are funny. Me and my cousin enjoyed a nice Italian dinner.
And if you go on my YouTube channel, when you see about my time in Fort Lauderdale, guess what? You will see these group of pigeons. Like, look over there. Look over there. You can't see it, but you see a group of pigeons just hanging out by the water. Like, they are like, I'm like, what the heck are these pigeons doing? I mean, seriously, these pigeons, get a room already.
They don't have a room. They don't have a damn room.
We're gonna have to get going too.
He's using the records.
Me and my cousin just got done eating, and now we're about to do the ghost tour now, and we're ready.
And Aunt Rum trying to intervene.
That's funny.
Restaurant known as the Chart House, the famous national chain. Okay, Chart House restaurants don't lock their doors and move. They locked their doors and moved. Then it was the Reed River House. They went out of business. It was the River House that went out of business. It was a wedding and banquet facility, and that went out of business. The building had been empty for 10 years now. And about a year ago, a local businessman came in, spent $2 million, a year and a half, brought this back up, was open for 1 month, and closed his doors again. It is available for weddings and corporate events. If you want to rent it, he'll open up. He is ready to go. But nobody can keep a restaurant open here because of their ghosts.
Oh.
Yeah. Now, a little backstory, okay? This is a history tour. Trick you. Everyone thinks that Frank Stranahan is the father of modern Fort Lauderdale. No, it was the Bryan family, okay? Mr. Bryan was hired by Henry Flagler to build this railroad. Railroad comes in, Mr. Bryan builds the first hotel. Mr. Bryan opens up the first electrical plant, the first ice station, the first telephone system. That's how you build the city. You build an infrastructure. Mr. Bryan is making so much money. He builds 2 houses for his 2 sons. Thomas, the older, Reed, the younger. I mean, thanks, Dad. This is prime real estate. It's on the river, you know? No. Reed marries the love of his life, a young woman named Anna. He couldn't be any happier. Anna is now with child. He's going to be a father. Well, their son is stillborn upstairs in the bedroom. Born dead. They're just grief-stricken. 4 weeks later, Anna dies from medical complications in that same bedroom, in that same bed. The good old days were not that good.
Right.
Okay, hospitals, we haven't invented those yet. No. Reed disappears. He is missing for 3 months. Nobody knows where he is at. He finally emerges from the woods. He had been trying to deal with his grief. He is in poor health, malnourished, he is feverish. He is slowly nursed back to health by a woman named Barbara Estelle. Well, Reed and Barbara fell in love. So, what does he do? They get married, and he moves her back into his house and right back into the same bedroom. How does that sit with you ladies? Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's the 1900s, 19-teens. Ladies, y'all didn't have rights yet. Yay, good old days. You were literally the property of your husband. Don't sound too bad, huh? Yeah, don't try this. Oh, seriously, don't try this. Yeah. She had no choice, but she stuck it out. Wealthy family. No. Well, the financial downturn, the 1920s, the family lost their money. They lost the house in 1925. Reed died in 1935. Barbara died in 1965. They say when she died, she returned to this house to roam the grounds for all eternity because she felt like this should have been her house. She nursed that man back to health. She was at his bedside when he died. She spent more time with him than anybody. This should have been her house. So basically what you have is Reed's 2 wives scaring the crap out of the waitstaff. It would always go like this. It would always be the end of the night. You're down to your closing skeleton staff. The dinner rush is over. You know what I'm talking about. You get the closing shift. Like, everyone scoots on their side work. You got to finish it all. Yeah. Well, you have one couple that's still hanging out, camping out, and you go in to check on them, and they call you in the room, and they want to know, who is that little old lady in the hallway staring at us, giving us dirty looks? You explain, that's Barbara, that's our ghost. You're in your room, you're doing your side work, you're rolling silverware, filling your salt and pepper shakers. You go to get some supplies, You hear a crashing noise. You run back into that room. Everything on that table, if not the table itself, is knocked on the floor. Upstairs to the dry storage room, which happens to be the bedroom. You open up that door, and for a brief moment, you swear there is a woman sitting there with a dead child in her arms. That's your last moment on the job. I quit. I'm out. Screw this. They just couldn't keep wait staff. Within a year, year and a half of the staff was brand new. You know what happens? They don't know what they're doing. Service goes down, quality goes down, you close your doors. This is million-dollar real estate, y'all. That is the Performing Arts Center. The Broadway play Hamilton is going on right there, and nobody can keep a restaurant open here.
Well, because of these ghosts.
Yeah.
I feel so sorry for them.
20-year lease this man just signed with the city.
Wow.
He is in hock.
That's a lot of
Yeah.
money going out of his pocket.
Yes, it is. Every single night he's losing thousands and thousands of dollars.
About that, okay? Because I keep seeing movement up and down. There's nobody here, right?
There's nobody. There should be no one inside. It is closed.
But they open for what happens around there?
What?
Is there somebody in there, or did you see something? I never know. I can't make ghosts appear. If I could, I would charge you a hell of a lot more money.
For a
Okay.
second, like when
But-
you were in the middle of talking, like I was looking right in that direction, like at the house that is attached to this one right here.
Yes.
Like the one next to that. I thought I saw like a shadow figure, and then I was like, back, gone.
There is something happening there.
I just saw.
On the other side, when they opened up last year, a friend of mine, he was the bar manager for a month, and he said they were starting to see a figure in white on that side, on that house. And we don't know who that is, but I had a woman on my tour who's been in Fort Lauderdale her whole life. And they had a bartender friend. They would bring the kids. The kids always saw a woman in white on the stairs on that side, on the other side. And the bartender said that was a housekeeper. Right now, that's all I know. If anything on this side, it will be Barbara. Okay? Barbara Estelle is his second wife. So, it's closed. There's nobody in there. Okay? If anybody jumps out and goes, this is not a haunted house, all right?
Did anybody ever report anything walking with the company down there?
The second floor is where his first wife died. You notice that you're picking something up? Okay, stuff has happened on my tour, you know. And I'll explain later on about my belief in ghosts. I'm a historian. There's a lot of rooms.
Yeah, the Christmas lights.
Yep.
Classic.
All right, let's bridge going across the river. All right, from here to that bridge is a quarter of a mile. We are not walking a half of a mile for one story, all right? I'm lazy. I'm pointing. But underneath that bridge is a boat park, Cooley Landing Boat Park. It is one of the most horrific spots in all of Fort Lauderdale. People have been dying on that spot since 1836. The last time somebody died there was about 3-4 years ago. Yeah. What is happening is because of our party district, all the bars right here, they're open till 4 o'clock in the morning. Take off here with a head full of alcohol, you make a couple of wrong turns, and you're in that boat park. It's late, it's dark. What looks like a right-hand turn is the ramp into the river. Last person, her name was Lisa Hayden. She was missing for 8 weeks before they found her in her car at the bottom of the boat ramp. Lisa was a friend of mine when I lived here 20 years ago. So, don't drive drunk. Call a cab, call Uber, sleep in the bushes, sleep in the back seat, okay, my young ones? I'm stressing this. Yeah. I don't want to add you to my story. But the first thing that happened there was Mr. William Cooley having his entire family slaughtered by the local natives. In American history, we have not been kind to the natives, have we?
Nope.
No. American history is pretty brutal, what we did to the Native Americans. It's genocide. Andrew Jackson, yay! Indian Removal Act, Trail of Tears. Have y'all ever heard of this? Indian Removal
I
Act?
heard about it.
I know you guys.
And they
You
said
guys
he
went
was
to
a
school
hero.
here.
I did not buy it.
Yeah. Oh, it's okay. I'm messing with him. Yeah, don't worry about me. Yeah. If I wanted him to shut up,
He's a
I'd say
history
shut the
buff.
hell up. Good, excellent. High five. Yeah. Y'all got to go. and shipped all the natives west of the Mississippi River. I mean, it was genocide. One tribe refused to negotiate were the Seminole natives. So they were pushed down here. And they're like, we're not going anywhere. And Jackson's response is, we go to war. We're ambushed by the natives. It was a massacre. 118 U.S. soldiers, 2 men lived. That was in 4 hours.
2 men lived?
Yes.
Wow.
Do some research on the Dade Massacre.
Yeah.
Second largest Native American massacre in our history, second only to Custer and Little Bighorn. No, it was horrible. What this did was this empowered the natives. The natives that lived on this river, they had their own issue. You see, 1820s, 1830s, there were U.S. white men living on this river. Mr. Cooley, that was his farm. He was the area justice of the peace. And earlier in that year, a couple of new U.S. settlers raided an Indian camp and they killed a local Indian chief. They are arrested and tried for murder in court. A U.S. white man's court. So guess what happened?
All charges drugs.
Correct. Nothing happened. It was murder. The natives, they were furious. So what happened was January 6, 1836, all the men of this area were up on the beach raiding a shipwreck. They came in and they just killed his entire family. His daughter was stabbed to death. His son was killed by blunt force trauma. Their children's tutor, he was scalped while still alive. His wife was shot in the back. They get back the next day, realize what happened. He buries his family right there on that spot. And I will bet you the bones are still under that parking lot, because that's how the city of Fort Lauderdale operates. They come across anything historical, cover it up, keep building. You see all these cranes? That's money. And they don't want to stop that. Yeah. And they took off. Yeah. Andrew Jackson hears of all these massacres, sends his good old dear friend, Major William Lauderdale. Yeah, William Lauderdale was Andrew Jackson's aide-de-camp and quartermaster in the Battle of New Orleans. There's my New Orleans connection. New Orleans. Yeah. He gets here, hits the river in 1838, and they build a little fort just down the river. But there's angry natives and angry mosquitoes, and they move the fort down the river and all the way to the beach. 3 different forts in 6 months, and they leave. From 1838 till Frank arrives in 1893, there were no U.S. settlers on this river. Now, but it is that park. We have had stories for decades and decades of boaters and fishermen going down here at night, passing it, and swearing that they see shadows. They're always moving across the parking lot, always towards the river. We believe that's Cooley's family. Yeah. People eavesdrop on my tour, including the homeless, and I'm out here one day and this homeless guy stops me and he goes, listen, tour dude, I've heard your story. He goes, I've been out there at night and I've seen those shadows myself. I'm like, ooh, because that's a second source reference. History guy, right? Need a few sources? Yeah. And then I met a couple one time down here on the river that live across from the boat park. And when they told me where they lived, I'm like, oh, have you seen the ghost? Like, ghost? What do you mean? I tell them the story. The massacre, the bones under the parking lot. As soon as I mentioned the shadows, they looked at each other, their eyes got real big, because on a few occasions they see shadows always moving in one direction, always towards the river. So if you feel brave after the tour, grab a cocktail and just follow the sidewalk. It'll take you all the way down and under the bridge, okay? All right? He's got his camera ready. He's like, I want to see this, man. All right, let's go this way. More stuff.
So what's the story about this one?
Do that in a moment. All right, everybody. Can y'all see me okay? Good? Got everybody good? All right. I want to talk about this restaurant across the river right now. We're going to go back to the 1980s. Way, way back. Yeah. I was just asking these young men, have y'all ever seen a TV show called Miami Vice? You remember?
Sure, of course.
Yeah. It's 80s cheese. You've got to look it up. You've got to see it. It's hysterical. Yep, Don Johnson. Have you seen it?
I've seen a couple.
Yeah, awesome, isn't it? Yeah.
Is that filmed here?
Here in Miami. Yeah. You see, 1970s, 1980s was the heyday of the cocaine cowboys. Drug smuggling. It still goes on today. Yeah. 1970s, Miami was run by a woman named Griselda Blanco. Anyone ever hear of that name? You've heard of it?
Yeah.
Have you seen the documentary? I know, she was crazy, wasn't she, man? Yeah, killed every man she ever slept with.
Alright.
Jeez.
Boy.
I'm gonna step back here a
kidding,
little
just
bit.
kidding.
Now I'm nervous.
Then yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
You gotta see that documentary then. What's her name?
Griselda Blanco. It's called Cocaine Cowboys.
That
And
was
there's two
unexpected.
different ones. There's part one, there's volume 1, volume 2. They're working on volume 3. Volume 3 is going to be about the boys. You see, in the 1980s, where a lot of these smugglers went, was they went to the racing circuit. They went to the offshore powerboat racing circuit, the cigarette boats. They're the fastest boats. That's the cutting edge technology. Yeah, that's the cycle bar. If you got a big group, bachelorette party,
Or
that's my
bachelor party.
jam. Bunch of people getting drunk and they go bar to bar to bar is what they do. Yeah, so
Bar hopping.
pretty much, yes. Yeah. Well, the boys, Sal Magluta, Willie Falcone, Gustav Falcone. These guys, they felt like they were untouchable. They start off in the 1970s in high school selling some weed in the parking lot. And they're doing great. They've got money, they've got girls, cars, great. Out of high school, they graduate to selling cocaine. They get a connection to the Medellin cartel, and they explode. They're making so much money, they don't know what to do with it. A friend of theirs is a banker, Ray Corona. He says, bring the money into the bank, we'll stash it in a safety deposit box. Okay, cool. I just make sure these guys don't. Y'all just step in just a little bit if you would. Perfect, thank you. They're all over the place, those little scooters. It's a pain. No. So they're hiding the money in the bank, and Ray Corona is writing bank loans for them to clean the money up. You know, here's $2 million, buy some businesses, and then repay it with the dirty money. So everything looks legit. Summer of 1979, they walked into the bank one day with 2 briefcases with $20 million in cash.
What?
10 years later, they're worth an estimated $2 billion in 10 years. One of the largest smuggling operations in the history of the United States to this day. And they were untouchable. They would get busted by the police and just walk away. 1978, they're arrested, and they're allowed to stay out of jail on bond, appealing their conviction. The whole thing just disappears, just vanishes, it's gone. They're in California, 1985, putting together a big cocaine deal. They get arrested, they bail out of jail, fake names, come back here to the East Coast. Detective in California is looking for his fugitives. He cannot find them anywhere. And we didn't have computers and databases like we do now. Well, one day he is sitting on his couch watching ABC's Wide World of Sports. It's a live IndyCar race from Miami. The announcers are interviewing the 2 sponsors of the race. It's his 2 fugitives live on national television. That was 1985, and they did not arrest them, catch up to them, until 1989. They're thrown in jail, they bail out, they disappear before the feds can get to the jail. Paperwork showed up, they're clean. So now we've got these 3 guys, they've got $2 billion hidden all over the planet. What would you do? Bye-bye USA. Yeah, no. 3 years later, 1991, they're caught right here in South Florida. Sal Magluta in Miami, Willie Falcone right here in Fort Lauderdale, just up the river in his house. When they busted into the house, they found about $1 million in cash lying around, several kilos of cocaine lying around, a 2-pound gold bar, a brick on the nightstand next to his bed being used as a paperweight, and another $6 million in cash buried in the backyard. I mean, literally buried in the backyard. Yeah. Let me see. Sal Magluta got 180 plus years. He will never get out of jail.
You're still alive?
He's still alive. Willie Falcone got 20 years. He was released last year. And just about a month ago, he cut a deal and they let him move to the island of the Dominican Republic. He's gonna be fine. His brother Gustav disappears though, 1991. No idea where the guy is. Okay, he's got access to $2 billion. You think he'd leave the country? No, they arrested him last year. Him and his wife, they were riding bicycles in their neighborhood, in their suburb, just south of Disney World in Orlando. So as the brother is getting out of jail, he's going into jail. Yeah. Now, you guys have lived here most of your life. How long have y'all lived here?
No, he's lived here
42 years.
42 years, okay. Y'all are new here. So, has anyone ever heard of a square grouper?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, we go there all the time.
There's a bar up in Jupiter
Yeah.
called the Square Group.
Do you know what a square grouper is, though?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Bale of,
Yeah, a
marijuana.
square grouper is a free-floating bale of marijuana or a bale of cocaine, and they wash up on the beach all the time. All the time. Remember the last hurricane? The last hurricane that came through, Irma? There were
Yeah.
duffel bags of weed floating up on the beach in Daytona. They were filming of people like fighting each other and grabbing the weed and running up to their cars and everything. Yeah, it's crazy. People in boats go out and looking all the time. So, yeah. But I do the story here because that bar right there, in the 1980s, this is where all these guys with their go-fast boats used to hang out, and all the boat racers. And inside the bar, there's photographs on the wall of all the race boats in that day and age, because half of these racers were all drug smugglers. They're racing on the weekends, and they're racing the law during the middle of the week. That's all it was, business for them. So, yeah. So if you know anybody with a go-fast boat, keep your eye out, okay?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
We're gonna go this way, do some ghost stories. Come across the river. Okay. 30, 40 years ago, this river was not nice and full of condos. Downtown Fort Lauderdale was a very dangerous and sketchy place. It would have been a bunch of crackheads down here. We would not be able to walk around like this at night. Okay? It was rough. And then they were like, all right, well, now, the river, it's worth money. Let's build stuff. So, in fact, do y'all know where the jail is?
Yeah.
It's on the river. How do you know where the jail is? Oh, okay. Legitimate answer. Yeah.
I live in the neighborhood.
Oh, okay.
It's
Yeah.
very expensive jail.
The jail is next to $1 million condos. That makes no sense because they built the jail when this area was rough. I remember when that Performing Arts Center was a biker bar.
Wow.
Downtown was sketchy, really sketchy.
Really
On that
terrific.
spot where that yellow building is. Do you live in that building?
No, we live in the river.
The new row? Oh, okay. The next one down. Okay. Where that building is right now used to be a one-story square warehouse-type building. It was an alternative live music nightclub. It was known as Squeeze. You've never heard of Squeeze? No. But there is a little band that started at that bar that you have heard of called Marilyn Manson. Anybody a fan?
My daughter was,
Your daughter
very,
was?
very strongly a fan.
Yeah. It's theater. The whole
I
thing
know,
is a
it's
stage
theater.
show.
Yeah.
It really is.
She made millions.
Yes, they did. Yeah. The lead guitarist was a dear friend of mine, and he did pretty well, let me tell you. Yeah. Because of the nature of the bar, you had a lot of young adults that died of drug overdoses, either in the bathroom or the parking lot. Okay, over 12.5 people have died on that spot where that condo building is now built.
Wow.
Yay! You want to move? Yeah.
We might.
It might.
Not
Hey,
sure yet.
let me know. We don't know if there's any paranormal activity going on yet. Okay, but the building itself is cursed. It is sinking at a rate of almost 1 inch per year.
Really.
It is messing up with the structural integrity. The swimming pool on the roof will crack and water goes flowing down, excuse me, through the building. Second here. The elevators are known to just randomly stop. Doors will open, they'll close, it'll go back up when you're supposed to be going down or go down when you're supposed to go up. These things happen all the time. Yeah. But it's also one of these spots that attracts negative energy, kind of like the Cooley Landing Boat Park, just it's a spot where bad things happen. Yeah. Do y'all remember the designer Gianni Versace?
Sure.
Yeah.
Remember how he died? Gianni Versace, the designer, clothes designer. You remember? Yeah. He was killed by a serial killer, a man named Andrew Cunanan. Andrew Cunanan was on the FBI's top 10 most wanted list. They were looking for this guy all over the country. They've been searching for him for months and months and months. No idea where he was. Andrew Cunanan kills Versace, kills himself, and the police are trying to see where this guy was. The month and a half before he killed Versace, Andrew Cunanan was hanging out at Squeeze, drinking and partying. I sat next to him at the bar.
Wow.
And I've got a dozen friends that all have an Andrew Cunanan story. My friends Nick and Lisa, FBI agents, show up at their front door, photograph going, do you know this man? Okay, at that moment, they're realizing they had a known serial killer in their living room at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning while they were stoned out of their gourds. That's scary shit, people. We did not have electronic devices back then. We did not have these things. Nowadays, it's a little easier. You're sitting at the bar. Hang on. Okay, you're okay. It didn't exist.
Right.
So be careful, especially you ladies. I'm not joking. Yeah. But any paranormal activity, we don't know. But imagine you move to warm, sunny South Florida, you spend $500,000 on a condo, only to discover it's haunted by the ghost of some damn emo kid. I'd be upset. Yeah. And it's not a cool Victorian ghost either, you know? His name's like Chad, and he's got a mohawk or something. It's, yeah. All right, let's talk about this haunted building. My locals, it's a museum. And don't bump or shake the door because the alarm will go off. Cops will be here in like 3 minutes. I'm running. You're on your own. Yeah. This is the New River Inn and Museum. It is the Fort Lauderdale History Museum. It's open in the daytime. Couple of floors, 3 floors, couple other buildings that we're going to explore. It's a pretty cool spot. So, it's very, very haunted. Now, first of all, why do I believe it's haunted? Well, that's simple. The people that work here and the things that actually happen to them. When we first got here and did our very first tour doing research in the museum, our tour guide was a woman named Sharon. Now, I need to describe Sharon to you. Sharon is about our height, short little thing, mid-60s, straight out of New York City, and has a mouth like a sailor. I love Sharon. She's a pistol. Yeah. We're about 4 or 5 minutes into our tour, and I just stopped and leaned in, and I said, so, Sharon, I understand you have a couple of ghosts in the building. And she flipped out. 15, 20 seconds. I don't believe in no damn ghost. I wish people would stop at this stuff. And she's going, and I'm thinking, I'm sorry, lady. And then she stops and turns and looks at us and goes, but we do have a couple of residents, as I like to call them. And then she told us a couple of stories. Like, ooh, all right, here we go. Well, it's a month later, and I'm volunteering for the first time. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. I am in this front lobby watching for the school bus to arrive. Sharon is heading up the stairs to get the second floor ready. Sharon is talking to herself under her breath. And I caught her. All right, you damn ghost, I don't need no crap today. I got too much shit to do. Thinking, okay. She was really doing this. And then a couple of minutes later, we hear this blah, 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 blah. And a few minutes later, we heard it again. Blah, 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 blah. It's Sharon. She does this every single morning, entering the rooms on the second floor to scare away the ghost that she doesn't believe in. Yeah. People get finger pokes in the back on a regular basis inside this building, and there's nobody behind them. Our tour guide, Jane, has worked in here doing tours. She was doing a tour on the second floor one time. A woman jumped because something pulled the hair in the back of her head, and there was nobody behind her, no one else in the room. So we get things like this all the time. The 2 windows on that side, that is the media room. There's a yoga class that's held in there. We're going to talk about the ghost of the little girl in a little while. Okay, but she spies in on the yoga class. Mr. Bryan, the man who built the hotel, he's believed to still roam the first floor. Oh, and he spies on the yoga class. And this is a man who was alive during the time of the Civil War. He's used to women in boob skirts. Now he's a ghost and there's a bunch of girls in there in yoga pants. What are you going to do as a ghost? I know where I'm hanging out. You know, call it what it is. Yeah. But he's also known to be seen in the front lobby. He's actually made an appearance on our tour. I did not see him. I was in New Orleans doing some tours, and Jane was doing my tours for me here. She had a big group, probably about twice this size, and she's out there. And the woman goes, there's a man in that lobby. She looks in and she goes, no, I'm sorry, there's nobody in there, ma'am. She goes, there's a man in that lobby. Her husband saw something, but he wasn't sure what he saw. And she's getting argumentative. And Jane says, look, I was here 4 hours ago. I helped lock that door. I helped set the alarm. There's nobody in that building. Finish their story and go to the next spot, which we're going to next. And the little curtain in the window starts to move. The lady freaked out, walked off the tour, gone. Never saw her again. Husband chased her down the street. Yeah. So, stuff does happen. What's going on? Are they? It could be faulty electric too. Yeah, it's an old building. Yeah. But the most active ghost of all is the conductor. See right there, that train track? That was the train station. That's why Mr. Bryan built the hotel, because he's a smart businessman. Whatever conductor it was always slept in here, 3rd floor, 2nd window over, and I'll point to it when we leave. That's known as the conductor's room. In a span of 50 years, several hundred conductors have slept in that room. Once in 2015, 3 years ago, the Latin American TV network, Univision, they rented the building for the night. They were here with some real paranormal investigators. And they're in a lockdown. They're in that conductor's room, total blackout, total silence. They have their little meters. That question was, when is the next train coming? They picked up a voice recording that said, I don't know. They aired this on television. I saw it myself. 1 hour later, one room over, same thing, blackout, silence, meters going off. Right? Who is in the room here with us? And they picked up a voice that said, I am Frank. We don't know who this Frank is. But you have to realize, if you have a building that's at least 100 years old, there's a chance somebody has been born in that building, and a much better chance somebody has died in that building. Especially a building with a lot of turnover, like a hotel or a hospital or a prison or an asylum. That's why they're always so crazy with hauntings. People are dying there. So, no way out. The 3rd floor is now open to the public. It has been closed to the public for about 8 or 9 years now because of their ghost. It used to be administrative offices, and one by one by one, every few months, the little, I know the party barns, they can't compete with this.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
That's why you do that tour. Go drinking. It's got a designated driver and everything.
Yeah,
You're
sure.
good. Yeah, he's sober. So, yeah. When it was offices about 10 years ago, the little old ladies, one by one, they left their offices, and the last one happened to be a woman named Linda. And you can come back on Monday. Go to
Black
the
cat.
Archive Center. Yeah, there's a couple black cats around here. Yeah, you're not saying that's real. Yeah, and I didn't plan that. Black kitty cats.
Ghost.
Yeah, no, they're real. Yeah,
I saw her name just walking by because it did sneak.
yeah. There's a guy that feeds them. There's right there. There's another one. He's like, oh, they're on to me, man. I'm out of here. No kibbles and bits. I'm gone. No. But Linda was the last administrator to have an office on the 3rd floor. She got in early one morning. She's got some paperwork she has to finish up. She gets in, locks the door, heads upstairs, and she's walking down the hallway past the conductor's room. The door is open. As she's walking past, she hears a man's voice that says, "Good morning." And she just kind of stops and takes a step back and looks in the room. There is a man sitting there in a full conductor outfit. The hat, the duster, everything. She is freaking out. Old building, 3rd floor, doors locked, nobody is showing up for at least an hour and a half. Her heart is pounding out of her chest. And she leans in and goes, "Good morning, how are you?" And he goes, "I'm fine, thank you." And she walks away and she's reaching for the cell phone. She's calling 911. She comes back to home, looks in the door, and he's gone. Moved that day. Like, I'm out, gone. And for the past 9 or 10 years, the 3rd floor has been off limits. It's been storage. And they finally reopened it.
What
When did
prompted
they-
them to reopen it? So,
They need the money. They're renting out the spaces to local artists.
okay.
So it is a non-profit. Come down, take a tour, you know, throw them a few bucks. They can use it. They're the ones who have all our history. They're the ones who I learned half of this stuff from. So you know.
Somebody have heart problems? They're
Uh,
one of the people who still have heart problems.
I don't know. I would have to ask Jane that. She knows a little more about the family's detail about the family. Were you feeling
Does somebody
something?
have-
Okay. I mean, it was a large family. You know, they had 2 sons, 4 daughters. The family is still alive here in Fort Lauderdale. I have actually met the great-great-great-great-great-grandson of Barbara and Reed. Yeah, I gave him a tour. I gave his Boy Scout troop a tour. It was really weird to stand in front of a building and tell this young man the history of his family.
Yeah.
Really, really weird. Yeah. So if you do a
bet that
tour in
meant a lot
here,
to him.
what's that?
I bet that meant a lot to him, that thing.
It did, yeah. His whole Boy Scout group was really neat. I've got the mom on speed dial on my phone. I can call up and call the family directly. And hey, so if you're ever in here, if anything does happen, let me know. Seriously, because things happen all the time, and it's always different with every single person. Now, who actually believes in ghosts?
I do.
You know? You guys don't believe?
I'm actually a ghost hunter.
You're a ghost
I've
hunter?
been out
Okay.
for a long time.
Okay. Here's my theory, all right? Because I like to go on facts, documentation, things that actually happen, all right? Well, 150, 200 years ago, this thing would be considered sorcery and witchcraft. To say that there's invisible waves going through the air, transmitting sight and sound and all of this, some sort of energy wavelength that now can send pulses, invisible pulses that can knock a man off his feet, or sound waves or such, you know? So what if what we believe are ghosts are actually some sort of energy wave or something that we just haven't discovered yet? Okay, there's a couple types of hauntings. There's a residual haunting. It's kind of like a record that's skipping. It's that ghost of a lady that walks down the hallway or goes through a door. It's always the same thing over and over. You know, what if that's some energy wave that's just kind of caught in this little place bouncing around? Or a true paranormal, a poltergeist, ones that communicate, that move things or actually speak to you. So what if that isn't some sort of energy wave or something that's still bouncing around? Did y'all know back in like World War I and World War II that people with fillings in their mouth would actually pick up radio waves? Do you remember this?
Yeah.
It was a real thing because of the metal in their teeth. It would pick up a radio wave and you'd hear sound coming out of their mouth and going, you know, thinking you're possessed by a ghost. And it's just an invisible wave of energy. I'm not that smart. That's my theory. Because I lived in New Orleans for 15 years. I lived in a haunted house for 3 years. This place was definitely haunted. Things happened that were just beyond any logical or scientific explanation. It was a guest house. I was the resident manager of it. Years and years later, I run across the current owner of the house, and I start telling her everything that happened to me, and it's all happening to her. Exactly, word for word, what I was telling her. She's going, oh my God, that happened to my husband last week, or that happened here. So that's what I believe. Okay? All right, this way, more stories. Marty, who married Frank Stranahan, her brother actually married into the family. And this is where things get really fun, because Ivy was a school teacher, and there were 2 King's sons, Bird and Wallace, and they were in her classroom. Miss Ivy hated alcohol, would not let her husband drink alcohol. And when the families married, she found out that her 2 new brother-in-laws, who were her former students, were 2 of the biggest rum runners, smuggling in booze. Yeah. They were putting in airplane engines into their boats in order to outrun the Coast Guard. And it's a neat little house. It's part of the museum. If you take the museum tour, they will take you inside it and upstairs and everything. So, but there's a story about the 2 King boys. It was the mid-1920s, and Bird was in the Bahamas picking up a load of alcohol. Now the Coast Guard, they knew he was over there. They knew what day he would be coming back. The Coast Guard came to the house, grabbed his brother Wallace, and took Wallace out to sea so Wallace could not radio and warn his brother. Clever, right? And the Coast Guard spots Bird's boat and they give chase. The Coast Guard is catching up. Well, Bird enters an inlet and heads up what's now the Intracoastal. As the Coast Guard boat is heading into the inlet, Wallace pushed the Coast Guard pilot out of the way, yanks the wheel of the boat, the Coast Guard boat spins off, hits a sandbar, and his brother escapes with all of the liquor. No charges were filed.
Wow.
They couldn't find the booze. No evidence, nothing you can do. Yeah. But if you take a tour inside, it's really neat. Ladies also, inside here, this I would always point out to the young girls because they moved this house in 1971. They put it on a barge and they floated it down the river. And there's a photograph in there of a woman. She is obviously in her 60s. Her hair is pulled back neatly. She's got her little earrings on, her yellow sundress, her day heels, and she's driving a tow truck moving a house.
Wow.
That's pretty badass.
Yeah, good for her.
Yeah, come on.
Wow. So it was like his workers mostly?
No, he lived there. They had the hotel. His two sons lived there. Any workers lived a little ways off.
They did?
Yeah.
So they would just show up anytime he told them to come?
Yeah. Pretty much when the train was arriving.
So this here is the schoolhouse, eh?
Yes.
All right.
All right. And you're a ghost hunter?
Sure.
We'll talk after the tour. Yeah. All right. Noisy train. If you take a tour in the museum, they'll take you into that building and they'll take you into this building. This is a replica of the original schoolhouse. Okay? The original schoolhouse was about a mile south of here. Miss Ivy lived a half a mile that way. Miss Ivy does not haunt this spot. This was built in the 1970s as part of the museum system. There's also a large photograph in there of Miss Ivy and her original class. And
Stupid train.
I know. Story of my life. Yeah. Well, in that photograph, the bottom row, little girl in the center, her name is Lula Marshall. Her dad was the first mayor. We've always been told that Lula Marshall is the ghost of the little girl that haunts this river. We do have a ghost of a little girl that haunts this river. I grew up here. I went to middle school. I went to high school here. I remember these stories. So when we came back, I'm like, all right, we're gonna find out what's going on. The story goes is that the children were playing on the river one day. The ball escapes them. Lula goes chasing after it. She trips. She fell into the river and she drowned. Like, okay, good setup story. Now, it's usually little children that will see her. It will be at nighttime. They're walking from a restaurant or from the theater, and in the distance, they'll see a little girl behind a tree or behind the bushes, and she's motioning them over. If I have little kids on the tour, I tell them, don't play hide and seek with a ghost. You're not gonna win. Okay, got it? Yeah. Well, we do our research. And I start with the Google machine online, and I came across an online blog somebody wrote about all these buildings and about all the ghosts. And he mentions the ghost of the little girl. Like, oh, okay, a second reference, dynamite. Somebody responded to that blog and said they had an experience with that little girl inside that building. The hotel, the museum. Years ago, that used to be the Discovery and Science Museum before they got money and moved over and built the IMAX Theater. They do sleepovers with children's groups. This guy writes in, he said, I was 12 years old, my Boy Scout troop was spending the night in the building. They're on the third floor, southwest corner room. He is woken up in the middle of the night by the little pitter-patter of feet coming across the wooden floor. Well, he pokes his head out this sleeping bag, and there's two little old-fashioned girl shoes with white stockings sticking up out of it. All right, he's a 12-year-old kid, creepy old building. He hides his face, peeks out a minute later. and they're gone. All right, that's another reference. Excellent. The yoga class in the museum, it's on the weekends. They were running late one day. I got in a little early, and I'm chatting up the guy. And I said, well, I do a ghost tour at night. And he goes, oh, well, we have a ghost of a little girl that looks in on our yoga class. And I'm thinking, I didn't mention a ghost of a little girl. So he's just confirming that. I'm like, all right. And I'm like, well, what's going on? At least once every 3 or 4 weeks, they'll be in the middle of one of their poses or their stretches, and one of the ladies, out of the corner of her eye, will see a little girl standing in the doorway. But when she turns and looks, she's gone. Now, why is a little girl so fascinated with a yoga class? I have an idea. But first of all, we do our research, and we found out Lula didn't drown in the river. She lived until 1982, an old lady. Wrote a book and everything. Her sister Hattie fell into the river. We actually corrected the museum on that story. Yeah. But Miss Ivy, ladies, if you get a chance, go to the Stranahan Museum and learn about Miss Ivy and her life. Miss Ivy was a strong, powerful woman, and you needed to be in that day and age. The good old days were not good for you ladies. They were horrible. All right, let's see. First of all, once she got married, she can now legally no longer be a school teacher because you had wifely duties to take care of and sandwiches to make for your husband. Hey, you know, like that's like, oh hell no, yeah. And she started teaching the Seminole Native Americans how to read and write. She is a big part of them becoming a legal tribe by the U.S. government. She went to Washington, D.C. on their behalf. She was a spy for the U.S. government, looking for animal poachers, working with the Audubon Society. She helped create the Women's League, Junior League, Girl Scouts here in Fort Lauderdale area. Yes. What else? Oh yeah, the age of 18, in 1899, she was a full-blown vegetarian and did yoga on a daily basis.
Wow.
That's a progressive woman.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for her.
And that whole thing about them not having children and all of that and her other activities, you kind of have to read in between the lines. I believe she was a lesbian. Yeah. You know? But just think about it. 100 years ago, you could not be who you were or who you wanted to be. As a female, you didn't have rights. You were the property of your husband. You want to vote? Sorry. You know? You want to get a bank account? Sorry. As recently as the 1970s, here in this country, a female had to have permission from her husband to get a checking account. Yay, good old days. No, they were horrible. But Miss Ivy was a pioneer and a champion for that. Women getting the right to vote, she was a big part of that also. So, thank you, Miss Ivy.
Yeah.
All right, we're heading up and we're going to do one more story. We're going to talk about the mafia history of South Florida. Okay?
Can't wait for that.
Yeah. This way, come on.
You ever heard of a show called The Sopranos?
A show? Yeah, I've heard of The
I love The Sopranos. My favorite mafia show.
I've heard of The Sopranos.
Me and my cousin are enjoying the ghost tour.
I mean,
Yep.
How are you liking it so far, Adam?
Pretty good.
It's
And
good,
there's
man.
that's your guy right here.
Yeah.
No, you really are. You're really good at this.
I was a speaker at the JFK Assassination Conference last year in Dallas.
Wow. That's awesome. Always wanted to go to Dallas.
Oh yeah.
A Lone Star State.
I've been to Silsbee, Texas before.
Yeah. Didn't know.
Met some weird characters in that world, let me tell you.
Oh yeah. Nixon?
With Nixon, yeah, in the 60s.
The late President Nixon.
Yes.
Wow, at 16? Such
So
a
this hitman guy, was he on a type of level of Charlie Manson?
I'm going to stop here. We got a little light.
All right.
Come on up. Yeah. Alcatraz, yeah.
Notorious crime lord in all of Chicago.
Yep. The story is that Al Capone used to have an office on the second floor right there. When he would get raided by the law, he would simply shimmy down a back pole and run to the river to escape. All right, now first of all, has anyone ever seen a picture of Al Capone?
I've seen it.
He was a big boy.
Yeah, he's chubby too.
His fat ass is not shimmying down a pole, okay? Stairs. Yes. All right. We have no evidence. Is that my boy? My friend drives one of those carts. We have no evidence, no documentation whatsoever that Al Capone ever stepped foot in Fort Lauderdale. But he was in South Florida. What's that? He lived in the area. He lived in Miami. Not here. Yeah, Al Capone was hanging out in Palm Beach and Miami because that's where the rich people were. That's where the resorts were. This was Fort Lauderdale. Miss Ivy is walking the street. She's not going to let Al Capone in her city. Oh, hell no. Yeah. And he's not hanging out with the plebs and the tomato farmers. Would you? No. Yeah. He bought a house in Miami. That's where he was. But Al Capone kind of set a tone for South Florida, for the mob. And he says, we are not going to cut things up into territories. There's no north side and south side, east side, west side. It's free reign. All right. So they come down here, 1920s, Prohibition. Well, Prohibition is over with in 1931. They lost their cash flow. What does the mob go to for business? Gambling. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of Meyer Lansky. You have? Yeah, there's a man named Meyer Lansky and a man named Bugsy Siegel. Bugsy Siegel set up Las Vegas. Well, they were here. North Miami, Hallandale, Hollywood, all those gambling operations are all from the 1930s from Meyer and Bugsy. Bugsy Siegel is sent to Las Vegas. Meyer Lansky is sent to Cuba. The mob owned Cuba all the way until 1958-59 when Fidel Castro took over. And they lost millions of dollars. The mafia, they want Fidel Castro dead. Who else wants Castro dead? The United States government, the CIA. And if you go to Hollywood, there's a restaurant on the Intracoastal, Gigi's Restaurant. That was ground zero. You have Meyer Lansky. You have Santos Traficante from Tampa Mafia, Carlos Marcella from the New Orleans Mafia, Frank the Irishman Sheeran, who claims to have killed Jimmy Hoffa. They're all at that restaurant meeting with CIA agents to kill Castro. And those attempts kept failing. So those conversations turned to killing John F. Kennedy. Yes, the mafia was involved, and yes, the CIA was involved in killing the president. Lee Harvey Oswald did not pull the trigger that day. Yeah. So they're meeting here. But these guys, when they come down here, they go into cash businesses. They go into entertainment, gambling, shows, and bars and restaurants. And if you've lived in South Florida long enough, you have eaten in a mob restaurant. They're getting ready to open. Drugs, prostitution, yes. Let's see, does anybody remember Bobby Rubino's, the rib place?
Yeah, of course.
Yep, it was a popular rib chain that took off in the early 1980s in South Florida, and that was the front of the Gambino family out of New York. Big Louie's Pizzeria. Anyone ever eat a Big Louie's?
No.
Once.
That began as a front for the Castellanos, one of the 5 families of New York. Yeah. Let's see, Miami Grill, Miami Subs. You've eaten there?
Yes.
Okay, it's now owned by Pitbull the rapper, but it originally had a mafia beginning. The guy who set the restaurant up had some dealings with the mafia, and he was assassinated right here in Fort Lauderdale in his car, Federal Highway and 17th Street Causeway. His name was Guy Boulis, and they just kind of killed him. Mowed him down. Yeah. You see, these are cash businesses. It's really easy to skim money off the top, or if you're not making money, it's really easy to launder it. And also, the other thing about South Florida, everybody is from somewhere else. It's really easy to come here and reinvent yourself. We don't know if you've been here 20 minutes or 20 years. You don't talk to your neighbors. I grew up here. People 3 doors down, 3 houses down. You didn't know who they were. Just some old Italian guy from New York. Yeah. Merlino's restaurant in Boca Raton, Joey Merlino, he just is about to enter jail. And some of these might even. If you walk into a little joint, they've got like pictures of Frank Sinatra on the wall in Italy, and there's a few guys in the back with the track suits and the gold chains. Keep your mouth shut. All right? Seriously. But it was just like Andrew Cunanan, who killed Versace. He came here to South Florida and reinvented himself. Oh, I'm a model. I'm from New York. I'm going to go to Miami and model for Versace. Oh, cool. Great. Good for you. When really, he's a killer. I am Jeffrey. These are just some of the ghosts and gangsters of Fort Lauderdale. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to spend a few minutes with you. Okay? And if you ever go to New Orleans, give us a call. I'm back and forth all the time. Have you ever been to New Orleans?
Never been
go, man. You're not old enough yet, okay?
I was there for a wrestling event.
A wrestling
2014.
event? Did they take you down Bourbon Street?
It was WrestleMania
Oh, okay.
at the Superdome.
Okay, yeah.
Whatever it was called, that place.
Oh, I bet you have. Yeah. Bourbon Street is just a lot of bars and craziness. And a lot of nakedness, too.
Did any mobsters go there?
Oh, there's a huge mafia history. I do a full mafia tour in New Orleans.
My great-grandpa was in the mafia. He died last year.
Okay. New York, New Jersey, Philly. Where was he?
It was New Jersey and New York.
Okay. Because there's no mafia up there. Yeah.
He actually met the real Tony Soprano.
That are now in jail or dead. Yeah. And you ladies are from Serbia?
Yeah.
Is that okay? Because I know in Miami in the past couple of decades, it's been a big influence with the Russian mafia as well. Thank you.
We just completed the ghost tour. And what did you think of it, cousin?
Awesome. I'll give you that. And so basically, I'm starting to step away from YouTube recently, so yeah, problem solved there.
Yeah.
And also, if you, on this very night of December 22nd, 2018, saw me in this jacket, that's me.
Yep.
You know who you saw. With my other family members behind us. So, when I'm alone, just say hi, but if you see my other family members, just keep walking.
Yep.
That's all I gotta say.
All the stories this guy told was amazing. Like, he told a lot of facts and everything, and this guy was amazing at this tour, basically. And yeah, that will do it for the vlog, everybody. Thank you all for watching this vlog. Hope you all have a great Christmas, and there will be a Christmas vlog for Christmas Eve and for Christmas Day. Too sweet.
I come from money.